Hi everyone, this is Maria from the Plantain app. Really happy to see you back on our channel. And today I have some not really plant related stuff on my table. And the reason for it is that there's a lot of different myths on the social media and around the internet that these ingredients could be beneficial for your plant growth. But is it really true, and how do they actually work? This is something that we're gonna find out in this video today. So without further ado, let's get started. And we will be starting with the ingredient number 1, which is sugar. So there's a very popular idea around the social media that watering your plants with a sugar water can help and boost your plant's growth. And there is a story behind it, because during photosynthesis, plants produce sugar and starches for themselves. So the idea is, if we give the plant more sugar, it will boost the photosynthesis and even help it deal with the transplant shock. Now, that is actually not true at all, because the sugar that a plant produces is called glucose, while the sugar that we eat consists of polysaccharides. Plants basically cannot metabolize that sugar at all. And even much worse, pouring the sugar water into the pot can actually block your plant's roots from absorbing any water at all, leaving your greenie to a slow death. There is only one way in which sugar can be helpful for your plants, but that only concerns the cut plants like these ones over here, because the stem of the flower can actually absorb sugar. Basically, what the sugar does in this situation is sending the plant a false signal that you're alive, you're not dying, and it makes them stand and be beautiful in your apartment a bit longer. This way, it sort of delays the cut flowers from dying. They're gonna die eventually, but it makes them stand and be fresh much longer. For that, what you wanna do is take your plants, put some fresh water, you're gonna dilute a little bit of the sugar, mix it, and then cut your stems on the flowers. You might also want to trim off some of the dead plants, and then just put them in the water and enjoy them slightly longer. Coffee is great. And this is actually the next ingredient that we will be talking about. So the rumor goes, if you put a cup of coffee to your plant, the plant will start growing as fast as the Formula 1 racer. So basically, it is not that simple with coffee. It is true that the coffee grounds are added to the compost to nourish the soil. Coffee contains nitrogen, potassium, and magnesium. All are very crucial elements for the plant's growth. This is why coffee grounds can work actually as a good fertilizer. An additional plus is that coffee grounds can actually scare away a lot of garden pests such as snails and ants. However, it is important to note that the coffee grounds raise soil's acidity, so if your plant does not like acid soils, it will probably harm and most likely kill her. Just make sure before you add coffee grounds into your plant that your plant is one among the acid-loving soils. For the indoor plants, it can be different types of ferns, as this Boston fern over here, African violets, monsteras, cactus plants, English ivy plants, crotones, and many others. For the outdoors, it could be such as blueberries or azaleas or many others. Basically, I highly recommend you to Google your plant before you want to start this method and see if it likes acidic soils. So the next question is how to add coffee to your plant and what is actually the good way to do it. So first of all, as we talked before, you should check whether your plant likes acidic soils. And the next step is to use plain grounded coffee, and you can either sprinkle it on top of your plant, just like this. Or another option is you can make like a coffee solution, which is basically just adding coffee grounds into the water, making it still for a day or two, and then water the plants and see the progression, whether it actually helps your plant and does it boost the plant's growth. The next myth we're going to talk about is aspirin, like this one over here. So aspirin, or acetylsalicylic acid, it's a natural acid that is produced by willow bark and many other plants. And aspirin sure does help us humans a lot. And there's a lot of people online that are saying that aspirin has saved their plants from dying from an illness or boosted their plant's growth. So is it actually true? Let's find out. And actually, in fact, aspirin does have a lot of positive impact on your plants. So plants actually produce some amount of this acid on their own when they're stressed to protect themselves from illness or from a disease. So aspirin does actually help to improve the immune response of your plants, and as a consequence, it actually can make them slightly bigger in size and healthier. And another great additional thing that aspirin can do is to improve your plant's capacity to protect itself from the diseases. So it is in fact a good idea to use some aspirin for your plants, but you should do it mindfully. While this method can make your plant more resistant to a disease, it will not help your plant once it is already sick, and that's when you start using the aspirin to help it out. And second, good things should come in moderation. For the best ratio of caring for your plants with aspirin, what you want to do is take the aspirin tablet, dilute it in a little bit of water, and once that's done, you want to pour the whole solution into a spraying bottle and spray your plants about once a month. The next common thing that people often talk about on the internet is cinnamon. Cinnamon is a very flavory spice that's used in a variety of different continents in many and multiple different ways. But can it actually help your greenies thrive and grow bigger? To answer this question shortly, yes, it definitely can. While it is not a miracle treatment, it is helpful in your garden and for the indoor plants actually quite a lot. The first and very helpful thing that the cinnamon can do for you is deter ants away from your plants. For that, you want to just sprinkle some of the powder in the places where they enter the house, but you should remember that it will not fully kill the insects, it will just slowly prevent them from coming into your place. The next best thing that the cinnamon can do is work as a good rooting agent. So for that, what you want to do is sprinkle some of the cinnamon on a paper towel, and then you're going to roll the moist endings of the stems into the powder. And after that, just plant it into the new soil and enjoy your greenie. And the last good thing that the cinnamon can do is to work as a preventative of fungal diseases such as slime mold. So for that, what you want to do is mix some of the cinnamon in the lukewarm water and let it steep overnight. And then what you're going to do is strain it through a coffee filter and spray all parts of the plants and the soil. In sum, cinnamon is very useful in your garden, but don't rely on it too much. And remember, if your fungal disease is actually getting pretty serious, you should rather use neem oil or fungicides. The next very common spice that we will be talking about is the black pepper. But a lot of people claim that you should add it to your plant soil or making an insecticidal spray by just mixing some of the pepper with water. So let's see if any of these ideas are actually supported by facts. So first of all, black pepper can be used as an insecticide against bacteria, fungi, and insects. This is because it contains a composition of volatile oils, tannin, and high percentage of alkaloids. So for this mixture, what you want to do is mix a teaspoon of black pepper into the warm water and spray the leaves. The next best thing of the pepper is that it is also a good ant repellent. For this method, what you want to do is add a thin layer of black pepper around the plant, and you will notice that the ants are gradually and slowly disappearing. And the last part that is really great about the black pepper is that it has antibacterial properties that stunt the growth of mold and fungi. For this, what you want to do is add the pepper 3 inches deep into the soil, and it will kill the bad bacteria. And these are all the cares for the black pepper. Let's move on to the next one. So the next one is tea. Basically, tea contains big amounts of nitrogen that promote the plant's growth. But the same precautions as with coffee apply for this method, because the tea makes the soil more acidic, which is great for the acid-loving plants, but is not good for the ones that don't prefer acidic soil. So make sure you check if your plant likes acidic soil before adding tea to this plant's care. And moreover, tea also contains fluorine and aluminum, which sometimes can even hinder the plant's growth. Remember to be cautious with the tea, and if you do want to implement it into your plant's care, what you want to do is brew a pod with 2 tea bags and leave it to cool down, and use it no more than once a week. The next one on our list is oats. So oats are super nutritious for humans, but are they actually helpful for the plants? So some of the plant enthusiasts are actually claiming that mixing oats with your plant soil can nourish your plants with minerals and promote your plant's growth. Is that actually true? Well, that's debatable. A lot of experts say that oats in soil can attract pests and actually contaminate the soil. Oats can actually grow moldy when they're wet, which is definitely not something that you want for your plant. So based on these reasons, I would not recommend and not put oats in my plants at all under any circumstances. There are much safer ways to nourish your plant and make it thrive, even choosing from standard fertilizers to even coffee, as we talked about in the beginning of this video. There's a few popular videos circulating on the internet where people mix tea with oats and make a fertilizer out of it for the plants. And the idea behind it is that this kind of mixture contains a lot of nitrogen, so therefore it is beneficial to the plants. The tea does contain the nitrogen, and the nitrogen is truly good for the plant's growth. But the tea also makes the soil more acidic, which can harm your plants. Also, let's remember that the tea contains fluorine and aluminum that can hinder your plant's growth. And then when we add oats to it, it becomes even a worse mixture, because oats in the soil can attract pests, grow moldy, and contaminate the soil. So I would not recommend you using this mixture at all. If you do want to use some of these ingredients, definitely use tea or coffee for the acid-loving plants, but not the oats. And remember that the standard fertilizers are not bad for your plants either. You should just take your time to find the right one, and I'm sure that everything will be good and the plants will grow big, happy, and healthy. And basically this is it for this video. I hope you learned something today. Let us know in the comments if you tried some of these methods. Don't forget to check the articles on our blog and to download our app. It helps you to scan and learn what your plant actually is, how to care for it, whether you have the right caring conditions for it, and all of that interesting stuff. It's free to download, so check the link down in the description box. I hope this video was helpful for you, and I'll be really happy to see you back on our channel, so don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to get updated when we post a new video. It was really good to see you. Have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you in our next video. Bye!